This is Obsuna. Obsession. Hi, how are you all doing? Welcome to yet another episode of Obsuna Obsession Vlog. Today we will be having again another PE teacher talk, and this time this has something to do with virtual yoga competition. So if you were thinking or at least planning to conduct an inter-house or inter-school, whatever level you want it to be, virtual yoga competition where you are at the right channel. So I'm going to be sharing with you the things that you need to consider in organizing the said event. So let's get started. Okay, first, name of the event. You have to define what level of competition you are looking into. Are you looking into intra-school? Are you looking into inter-house? Or are you looking into inter-school competition? Any of the levels are correct. Now, also, by defining the name of the event, you have also to identify what mode of competition are you going to have. Will it be virtual or face to face? Of course, for safety reason, we have to always go for face to face. So let's imagine that this blog is about conducting a competition in yoga virtually. The next is about the circular. Circular is very important for the coaches and for the school leaders for them to easily see what are the important matters that entail this competition. The circular should involve the objective. The objective should be clearly defined. Apart from the objective, the target age group of the student should be also be identified. In circular also, important dates should be well defined also. Well, when I say important date, because in this competition, it requires a series of dates from the registration, from submission of the entries, from the competition itself down to the awarding. So all the things that I just mentioned are or should be well defined. Now, when it comes to registration, nowadays it's easy because we are using different Google platforms. So in here, you may ask them for practical tip. You may ask them to register. You just have to send them the link and register. And upon register, you can actually write down your instruction in the Google form itself. The best way to go for the registration is always Google form. You can actually get an instant response while you are using the Google form. Oh, before that registration also, when you are about to ask them to submit their video entries, because definitely this competition is not going to be live. So what's gonna happen? It's like you will be asking all the participating schools or participating athletes to submit their performance video entries in advance. Again, you have to identify the dates. Then after that, you have to provide them the link or the drive link where they should upload their video entries. Again, you have to provide them the Google Drive link where they can upload their entries. So let's now move on to the rules and regulation. In rules and regulation, one of the first important thing that we need to consider is the grouping of the students. Are you looking into a primary students to participate or a secondary student or a junior students or a middle school student? So you have to clearly define it in the circular. You have to mention it. And if you wanted to use phase wise, like primary, uh, uh, early years foundation, middle school, and secondary, that would do also. If you wanted to use category one, category two, but make sure if you're going to use category one, two, three, four, you have to put some subtitles. Say, for example, category one from kindergarten to grade one, category two from grade three to grade five. So it's really up to the organizer what kind of grouping you wanted to have. All right. And also allocation for every category, you have to clearly define how many athletes are allowed. Like mostly in this kind of individual pursuit event, we are allowing maximum of 2 players. Okay, so I think that would be really really cool. Talking about the video technicalities, you have to also define that you have to have a clear and open spaces in taking a video of yourself. So I think this is the most basic thing that we need to give to our participating athletes, that they must have their enough space, an open space for them to perform. Of course, yoga mat is required. Camera resolution also, if we can suggest to all the participating athletes that to have their video taken with a camera that have a good resolution, that would be really really cool. Orientation of the camera, some of the cameras or some of the videos are on the landscape, some of the videos are in a portrait. So what kind of orientation are you looking into here? And also, if you are looking into the edited one, or you really wanted to have a raw one, so which kind of technicalities that you are really looking into, right? Also, you have to set the time. If it's say, okay, within 3 minutes, you have to perform this given asana. So this is also will fall under this video technicalities, that you have given a certain amount of time for all the athletes to perform, and within that time, you have to do this XYZ instruction. Also, music, are they going to include music background or not? So you have also to mention that in the circular, or in the rules and regulation. Talking about the yoga technicalities, first also we need to define the asana. So after this, I'm gonna be sharing with you what are the asanas that you can use. These are just some of the suggestive asanas that I can suggest to you all. So for every category or for every age group, there are different suggested asanas they need to perform. Also in yoga technicalities, for every asanas, there must be a certain points, because we're working on a point system. Like if a student will be performing 5 asana, every asana has its certain points. So that depends on the level of difficulty, because I believe that these 5 asanas are having different level of difficulty. So you have to define how much point are you giving to the first asanas, how much points are you giving to the second and third asana. So everybody, the leaders of the school, the student itself, the coach itself, are all guided with the point system. And in between, there are some asanas that requires to be performed on both sides, all right, like a triangle pose, okay? So you have to mention that also, and you have to also consider giving points to those asanas that requires to be performed on both sides. When you say amenities, so these are some of the additional part. Like during the video taking itself, if you want a student or an athlete to say some spills, spill means, for example, a mountain pose. So he can verbally discuss something about it briefly. What is mountain pose? What is the origin of mountain pose? A player also can even say something about this and the impact of this asana to his or her life. So whatever kind of spiel that you wanted the students or the participating students to perform, you can actually put that as part of your rules and regulation. Introduction also, if you want the student to introduce first themselves, from which school or which house does he belong, from like what background or what experiences does he have in performing yoga, you can actually add this kind of amenities in your rules and regulation. Criteria for judging also must be well defined, like what are the on what basis we are, grading every participants, right? So I can say that, of course, the accuracy of asana, the flexibility of executing every asana, also the transition from one asanas to another is one of the aspect that we are looking in here. And also it would be better if for example the perfect score is 10 points, and if that 10 points From 10 point, we will just going to deduct for every demerits, which I'm going to discuss now. So if the perfect coin is 10 points, so for every demerits, like for example, if there are extra movement while they are holding the asanas, that would be deduction of point. If there would be, if for example, more than 10, if the player is taking so much time in performing one asana, exceeding to the allowance of 10 seconds, then again, another minus point. If the extension and flexion of every body parts is not that, that extended, then again another demerit. So in demerits, you have to also define what are the points, okay, for deduction. I miss one part here in judging. In determining the overall champion, you must have the team's point system. Like uh, a certain score will go to the player who get gold, who get silver, who get bronze. We normally follow the 10-7-5 system. 10 points for gold medal, 7 points for silver, and 5 points for the bronze. We are not giving any points to the runner up. So pretty much these are the examples of the uh, planning and organizing inter-house or inter-school yoga competition. So now I'm gonna take you through what are the example asanas that you may use in conducting it. So this is for my category one, grade one and grade two. So these are, okay, I have given here 5 different asanas. And on the sixth asana, I'll give them the chance to select their own, right? So I think that would be a free will performance for this student. Right? So I have a bow pose, sit in forward bend, shoulder pose. If you notice that it's all combination of lying, sitting, and standing asanas, and the difficulty is actually doable for this certain group of students. Coming to grade 5, which is category 2, so difficulty is somewhat increased. So this time we have seen more on flexible asanas, more on extension of the body asana, sort of. We have split leg, bow pose, yeah, full twist. So these are the thing. And also I'm giving them the free will to choose their own as well. 3 is for grade 6 to 8, category 3. So again, the level of difficulty here is really, really awesome. So these are the some of the asanas where they can follow and choose. And then for my senior student, my secondary student, so these are the asanas that I will be asking them to perform. So idea here is they have to perform the given asanas, and here they can actually perform their own asanas of their choice. Yeah, so total of 6 points. And again, as I mentioned before, for every asanas, there is a corresponding point system. All right, so that would be all. I think that the main takeout of this conducting an inter-house or inter-school yoga competition is to at least get everybody active despite of pandemics. We are all giving our best to make everybody's active by engaging in this kind of healthy competition. Very structured and very motivating. Of course, for the prizes, we have to prepare also the trophies or medals and e-certificate to those who's going to win in this competition, right? And remember, uh, when we are talking about the individual pursuit, we are always talking about the individual performance, individual effort, and practices of every student. It would really better if there is a certificate of participation for those who didn't win or for the non-winners. At the end of the day, we are promoting sports participation and active engagement to sports. So it would be really, really, really helpful. And at the same time, you will make a really big difference to the students who didn't win by giving them a certificate of participation. Of course, to just to recognize their effort and their practices for this competition. So there you have it. I hope you learned something from me today. And once again, this is Obsuna Obsessions.